In 1911, a young Australian geologist named Douglas Mawson went on a big adventure to Antarctica. He wanted to explore a huge, unknown part of the icy continent. Mawson and his team really wanted to be famous. They wanted to bring back science stuff from this mysterious place. The team set up a camp on the edge of the frozen land. From there, they would travel on sleds into the unknown. They didn't know it yet, but they were about to face some of the worst weather on Earth. Antarctica would test how brave they were and how much they wanted to live. Antarctica was really mean to Mawson's team. It got super cold and strong winds blew across the ice. The explorers fought against huge snowstorms that lasted for days. The big white land went on forever. Antarctica was really scary. The men had to be careful of hidden cracks in the ice. They pulled heavy sleds full of supplies and their bodies were very tired. Every day was a fight against being tired, getting frostbite, and the scary things they didn't know about. Something really bad happened to the team. Mawson's friends Belgrave Ninnis and Xavier Mertz fell into a hidden crack in the ice and died. It happened so fast. Everyone else was very sad. Mawson was all alone, hundreds of miles from camp, and he didn't have much food or supplies left. He was totally alone in the coldest, most dangerous place on Earth. His trip back to camp became a fight to stay alive. He was very hungry, super cold, and lonely. Gap 3S. Mawson made it back. Can you believe it? After everything he went through in Antarctica, he actually made it back to civilization. His story is amazing, super brave, and it inspired tons of people. He told everyone what he found and what happened, and it helped scientists learn a lot. Gap 3S. Mawson coming home wasn't just good for him, it was a win for science and exploring new places. Even though it was super tough, he brought back important information about Antarctica's rocks, weather, and animals. This helped us understand this faraway, icy place much better. Gap 3S. When Mawson told his scary story, the whole world listened. He got lots of awards and praise, but he stayed humble. He always remembered his friends Ninnis and Mertz who didn't make it. What happened to them is a really important part of exploring Antarctica. Gap 3S. Mawson's trip back is like a superhero story about how tough people are and how much we want to explore. His adventures still inspire explorers and scientists today. It reminds us that we can do incredible things to learn about our planet. Gap 3S. Mawson's adventures didn't end when he got home. His trip did something really important. It showed everyone what was possible. Think of him like a scout, mapping out the Antarctic for everyone who came after. Gap 3S. Mawson was super careful about writing everything down. All his notes and scientific findings became really important for later trips to Antarctica. He taught us a lot about the land, the weather, and even the tiny plants and animals. Gap 3S. But it wasn't just the facts he learned. Mawson's story is all about never giving up, even when things get super tough. He's like a superhero of exploration. Gap 3S. Even now, scientists and explorers are still using Mawson's work to learn even more about Antarctica. He showed us that even the coldest, most difficult places are worth exploring. Gap 3S. Mawson's story is like something out of a movie. It reminds us that humans can do amazing things if they're brave enough to try. He'll always be remembered as a legend of exploration. Hey everyone! So nowadays trips to Antarctica are way safer and cooler than in Mawson's time. Scientists are still checking out the place, making new discoveries about Earth and its past. Mawson's adventurous spirit is totally alive in these new explorers. Gap 3S. With super cool tech, scientists can now keep an eye on climate change, study ice, and watch the awesome animals in this icy land. Pictures from space and fancy navigation tools make traveling across the ice much safer, but it's still a tough place to be. Gap 3S. Today's explorers are following in Mawson's footsteps, pushing the limits of what we know and how tough we can be. They're building on his careful notes and amazing discoveries, helping us understand the secrets of Antarctica. Gap 3S. These trips show how important it is for scientists from different countries to work together. Just like Mawson did back then, people from all over the world are teaming up to explore. Gap 3S. Thinking about the future, Mawson's adventures remind us that exploring isn't just about getting to a place. It's about the whole trip and how our curiosity keeps us going. Hey everyone and welcome. Did you know that doing research in Antarctica is super important for understanding how our climate is changing? It's true. The information scientists collect there helps us make smart choices about how to take care of our planet. Gap 3S. Way back when, a brave explorer named Mawson started this important work. His notes and observations were like a treasure map for today's scientists. Gap 3S. Now researchers are using cool new technology to learn even more about Antarctica, building on what Mawson started. This new information is super helpful for understanding the weather all over the world. Gap 3S. Scientists are doing things like drilling really deep into the ice and studying the amazing animals and plants that live in this frozen desert. Every new thing they find helps us understand Earth's past, present, and future. Gap 3S. Antarctica is also a tough place to live, so people there have to come up with clever ways to survive. It's like a giant science experiment pushing the limits of what humans can do. Gap 3S. By exploring and studying this faraway place, we're following in Mawson's footsteps and helping to make a better world for everyone. Gap 3S. Even with all our fancy gadgets and gizmos, exploring Antarctica is still super tough. The weather is crazy extreme, and it's so far away from everything, making it really hard to study. Think powerful winds that can knock you off your feet, temperatures so cold your nose hairs freeze, and a huge icy landscape that goes on forever. Even the toughest explorers get put to the test there. Gap 3S. And being so isolated can be really scary. Talking to people back home is difficult, and you always have to be on your toes because the environment is so harsh. Gap 3S. But you know what? These challenges bring out the best in us. Researchers and explorers have to be creative, come up with new solutions, and push themselves further than they ever thought possible, just like Mawson did way back when. Gap 3S. But all the hard work is worth it because the discoveries are amazing. Every new thing we learn, whether it's about how the climate is changing or finding a new kind of fish, helps us understand our planet better and protect it for kids in the future. Gap 3S. That adventurous spirit, that drive to explore, is still alive and kicking. It pushes us to uncover all of Antarctica's secrets, no matter how hard it is. Gap 3S. Hey everyone and welcome. Today we're talking about what's next for exploring Antarctica. It's super exciting. Think of all the cool stuff we might find out. Gap 3S. We have amazing new tools like flying drones and self-driving vehicles that can go to places people couldn't before. Plus, satellites in space help us keep an eye on how the climate is changing down there. Gap 3S. And guess what? Scientists from all over the world are teaming up. They're sharing their smarts and tools to solve the tough problems of exploring this icy place. Gap 3S. Remember Mawson, that brave explorer? He's a real inspiration. His story teaches us that if you're tough enough and don't give up, you can learn anything. Gap 3S. So, what's next? Well, just like Mawson, we're going to keep exploring. Antarctica still has lots of secrets, and we're going to discover them. And when we do, we'll understand our planet even better, and we can help keep it safe for everyone in the future. Gap 3S. Hey everyone, let's talk about the future of exploring Antarctica. It's super exciting because there are so many cool new gadgets and technologies that are changing how we explore this icy place. Gap 3S. Think about robots, but super robots. These robots can handle the crazy cold and collect information from places people can't even go. Gap 3S. And guess what? There's also super smart computer programs called AI that can look at this information right away and help scientists understand Antarctica's secrets. Gap 3S. Virtual reality is another awesome tool. It's like a video game where scientists can explore Antarctica without even leaving their offices. This helps them learn more and gets kids excited about exploring too. Gap 3S. With all these new inventions, we're not just exploring, we're doing things no one has ever done before. We're keeping the spirit of explorers like Mawson alive by always trying new things and making new discoveries. Gap 3S. The future of exploring Antarctica is awesome. And every time we make a new discovery, we get closer to figuring out all the secrets of this icy world. Mawson's trip back to camp showed how tough people can be. He got frostbite, and he was so hungry and tired. He even had to eat his sled dogs to live. His mind started to see things that weren't there. But Mawson didn't give up hope. He kept going, even though it hurt. After weeks of really hard times, he finally made it back to camp, but he was very weak. His story shows how much people can do when they explore.